Hey friends, welcome to the Growing Through Motherhood podcast. Today we are going to dive into the 7 steps that I took that help reconcile my marriage. Before we talk about how great it is now and the things that I did in order for us to get here, I have to tell you about how bad it was. And this story is an absolute crazy story, and I am so grateful that my thought process did not come into fruition. I'm happy that I failed at this one. But once upon a time, I tried to run my husband over with a car. We were in a place in our marriage where everything was super rough. He had been out drinking with friends. I was completely sober and in my first trimester of pregnancy, and I had taken anxiety meds and Xanax and all of the things for years upon years. And because I was pregnant, I was weaning off of them. I had very few coping skills, very few ways to be able to deal with my feelings and frustrations. And I had a whole lot of anger pent up. And I just didn't really deal with anger well at that point in time. Like, there was another period of time later on where I threw such a huge fit that I had to look at myself and go, I absolutely never want to act that way again. So it was really, really bad once upon a time. Again, grateful I didn't successfully throw him out of the car and run him over, because we were trying to turn into our neighborhood and he was leaning out of the car and I just hit the gas, and instead of him falling out, his friend was holding on to him and pulling him back in the car. And I am really grateful that God foiled my plans in that moment, because I clearly was not of sound mind or thinking like a godly, loving wife. So that is the beginning, and here we go on to what in the world happened in order to work towards reconciliation and the absolutely incredible marriage that we have now. So number 1, I surrendered my heart and my marriage to God. I have always known of God. I grew up knowing about God. I never had a come to Jesus moment to where I truly took him into my life and kept him there and started walking by faith with him, until we moved to California and I was at my absolute lowest of lows. I think it was the closest to depression that I had had for a while. Like I said, in that period of time, I was coming off of a lot of anxiety medications. I literally had a purse full of about 8 different medications, from muscle relaxers to painkillers for headaches to like I said, Xanax, and I can't even remember the anxiety medicine that I was on, but I had all of the medications and none of the how to function in a marriage figured out. So I remember going to visit my Mimi at one point in time, and this woman is a beautiful woman of God, and I just love and am so grateful for her. And she really talked about the fact that you have to pour into your marriage. You have to put God first, you put your husband second, and you put your kids third, and how important it is to be able to put them in that order. And so I was in Oklahoma at one point in time. I had just had Addison, and I recognized the fact that I could not protect her. My earthly body could not protect her the way that God could. And I also realized that there was a lot of places in my life that I needed God to show up. And my marriage was one of them. I did not want Addison to have to go to daycare and be in daycare all day, every day. I knew I wanted to be a solid part of her life and be around with her on a regular basis. So the only way that I could do that and make that happen was to fix my marriage and figure it out. And so really, did I fix my marriage because I wanted to stay married to this man? No, I hated this guy, and I was pretty sure that there was never any way that we were going to get back to good. And we did not see eye to eye. we struggled. And now I'm looking at our marriage and I can see how marriage is the ultimate iron sharpens iron relationship. We think that a marriage is made in order for us to be happy and this other person to fulfill us. But really, the reason that they say opposites attract, I truly believe, is that because two people that are opposite, whenever you start functioning well together, you make each other stronger. He makes me stronger now in the places that I am weak, and he challenges me in places that I need to be challenged, and he grows me to another level. I get frustrated still to this day because it's like sometimes it feels like he complains about things rather than being grateful for them. But at the same time, he challenges me to be a better version of myself over and over and over again. And so I am grateful that I needed God, and I knew I needed him in being a mom, but I had no idea how much I needed him in my marriage. And I had no idea how low I was going to go before I finally just cried out to him and said, God, I need you. I have nothing else. I'm in California. I'm in a place where I know nobody. I know nothing. I've tried to make friends, but I have been super insanely sick this entire time I was pregnant. And I was miserable. And it's hard to go make new friends in a new place whenever you're somewhere new and you're pregnant and you are just super, super sick, miserable as you are pregnant. So it was like the lowest of lows until I found a wonderful church in called the Orchard in Temecula, California. And between a couple of different things of me realizing like I couldn't protect my daughter, that I needed supernatural powers to be able to protect her, that I was merely human and unable to protect her the way that God could from life. Guys, I wasn't thinking just her baby part of her, even though she was sick as a baby, and so it did feel like I needed protection for her in that period as well. I needed him on so many different levels, and I had no idea, but I'm so grateful for the people that continued to pour into me and show me how much it was that I needed him. So the first thing is I surrendered my heart and my marriage to God. I eventually said, okay, Lord, I need you to work on this because I don't want this marriage to end, because that means that I need to go back to work and I need to give up that time with my daughter. And that was the life that I lived with my mom growing up, is her needing to work and me being without her because she was working, and I wanted differently for that. And so that was where the beginning of it was. Number 2, guys, this is the non-fun part and what actually came of all of it. Instead of God fixing him, he worked on me. Instead of waiting on my husband to change, one of those things that we just absolutely cannot do is make somebody else do something. So like we get frustrated because it's like, if he would just X, Y, and Z, if he would just help me more, if he would just clean more, if he would just name it, like, if he would just name your thing, then my life would be better. But we serve a God who is not short of anything in this earth. He has all things in his power and his capabilities, and he knows exactly what we need when we need it, better than we know what we need when we need it. And so God is always going to start working on your heart before he starts working on your husband's heart. Now, I am not telling you not to pray for your husband, but whenever you pray for your husband, please don't be surprised whenever God says, but you first, because 9 times out of 10, I have prayed for my husband, and God has shown me that my triggers and the things that trigger me about him, there is a place in my heart that also needs healing. So as I mentioned, I had all of the anger, and of course I can look at him and say he is the reason that I am angry, but how do I manage my anger, and what did I have to do in order to get my anger under control? And some of the things that I did do, I know this is going to sound really weird and all of the things, but the liver is a part of your body that does over 500 functions a day. And there's a reason that they say like alcoholics generally are angry, and that is because their liver is dirty. And with all of the medication that I had been taking, all of the alcohol that I drank over the years, all of the things I was putting into my body, I knew that my liver was dirty. I kind of got into, as I mentioned, my daughter was sick in the first, 6 months of her life. And I got into a more natural, crunchy way of doing things. So I started detoxing my liver. If you were thinking about doing that now, I would recommend DOSE, DOSE, to detox your liver. I do not actually love what it was that I originally was taking because they reformulated it. So if anger is a problem for you, but you're going to have to get curious about your triggers. It's not just detox your liver, although that is a huge part of it, is starting to just like really get your body functioning the way that it is supposed to be functioning. But that's not 100% of it. So you're gonna have to start getting curious about your triggers, getting curious about why you act things the way that you react. Get curious about like your childhood and understanding that maybe you went through some stuff, but instead of that stuff being what keeps you and holds you where it is that you have always been and you've always reacted the way that you react, get curious and start figuring out how to move through your things. And whenever you do number one, which is put God at the middle of it, He is going to start showing you. If you just read your Bible, if you are really working on being a godly woman, if you want to read Proverbs 31, where it talks about woman of virtue, if you want to read that 31 days in a row and see what God starts popping off the pages at you, I think a great place is to start reading your Bible or reading a Bible plan, because I highly do not recommend, if you've never opened the Bible and read the Bible, I do not recommend opening and starting at Genesis and going from there. Start Bible plans over exactly what it is that you are struggling over. If you're struggling over motherhood, they have a Overwhelmed with My Blessings Bible plan. Like, wherever you're struggling, start there. Don't start, just anywhere. Let God lead you, because He is good to lead you. And I can promise you, He has helped me grow from that person at the beginning that had all the rage, all the anger, to now it is like a super, super rare occasion. If I start yelling at everybody and I am just like mad, everybody knows to watch out, because it's not of my character anymore. I never get to the point of blacking out angry like I used to whenever I was in my 20s. And I would straight up get so mad. My last conversation with my biological father that I had probably around 23, 24 years old, and I have forgiven him. It keeps my peace in order for us to not be talking whatever. That's a whole nother thing. I don't remember a word of it, guys. I was straight up blacked out for the entire thing. I remember yelling at him, and that's it. So if you are having issues with blackout anger, or you were once upon a time, or you are having issues with worry or jealousy or resentment or whatever your thing is, I just want you to get curious about why. Why is it that you are feeling the way that you are feeling? And then ask God for His direction in healing that. Find a church if you need to. That's what really helped me. Find a small group. I loved our small group. Find a Bible plan. Just dig into God and allow Him to help direct your steps. I promise it's the best place to start. Okay, the next thing I did, step 3, I chose one loving action every single day. And y'all, this was absolutely so hard for me at once upon a time. There were times I did not want to do anything for him, but I would either send him a text message saying, thank you for our home. Like, whether I was mad at him or not that day, he provided me with a home. Thank you for the home that you provide me. Thank you for allowing me to stay home with our daughter. If you want to get a little bit spicier or whatever, you can tell him, hey, you looked good in those jeans this morning. Where I really started, though, because what my love language is coffee. Hey friend, quick pause. If you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and currently hiding, hoping for 2 seconds to yourself just to reset, I get it. Peptides from Make Wellness completely changed how I show up as a mom. Actual energy, actual focus, and the shocking ability to finish a thought. If you're ready to stop living in survival mode and finally have both a clean house and calm nerves, I'll walk you through it every step of the way. Check the link in the show notes and let's get you started. Now, back to our episode. And so where I really started was I got up every single morning and I made him his coffee. And that is where I really started, was I made him his coffee. I did it whether I liked it or whether I liked him that day or not. But I chose to do one thing per day in order to show him that I love and appreciate him. Because whether we feel loved, which sometimes we do not, and that is our thing as women, is we want to feel loved. Men want to feel respected. But they are so, 9 times out of 10, they're so much more stubborn than we are. And it's like we have to go first. I tell my daughter all the time, because she gets frustrated with how her and my son react with each other. But I tell her all the time, he learned a lot of his behaviors. She's older, he's younger. He learned a lot of his behaviors from watching you. So when you get mad that he is picking at you in the same way that you pick at him, you have to quit doing your things first before he's going to stop doing the things that annoy you. You have to go first. Choose a way to show him your kindness. Choose a way to show him that you love him. Choose a way to show him that you respect him. Even if you don't like him, you can respect him. So if that's making his coffee, send a nice text. If you tell him in person, the small things help them to see that you are doing a part in your work in order to help make things better, and you're actually trying for this relationship. Number 4, I stopped using intimacy as a weapon. I was most definitely withholding at this point in time. It was kind of like one of those, like, I'm not doing that because I don't think you deserve it kind of thing. Like, why would I give that to you whenever I don't feel loved or whatever? And I think that I went through a period of time, or if you're listening out loud, this might be a good time to either pause it and come back to this episode later, or put some headphones in, whatever works. And I'm not going to go super deep into it, but I'm just going to I'm just going to put a little bit in here on this. So I began seeing that this was a place for him, that I was grateful that he was connecting with me and not connecting with somebody else. And it was a place where I have learned over the time period. I actually had a really good friend named Tiffany that told me that the day that her daughter gets married, that she will pretty much tell her, give him sex anytime that he wants. And for a while, I actually was like, okay, I feel like a prostitute over here, giving him things whenever I don't feel like giving him things. And you can use your boundaries and all of the things, but here's what I learned, and here is actually what we have had a conversation about recently, is the fact that when my kids make jokes on a regular basis that I love Dad more than Dad loves me, which is not true. They just see it differently because I'm very gush over their father, and I make sure that they know how much I love their father. And he said, well, they haven't got to see what we do in the bedroom. And I laughed, and I was like, is that how you show intimacy? Is that how you show your love to me? And he was like, well, yes. And so to him, that was a place, 1, that he got to relieve stress, 2, that he got to feel connected to me, 3, that he realized how much he loves me all over again. It was a place that whenever I stopped withholding, our relationship started growing. I started seeing shifts in him, and it dissolved so much tension, and it opened doors for conversations. And he would act differently with me when I quit withholding from him. And so I stopped. And it was a great part of our marriage that I did. And now we have 4 kids because of it. So you definitely want to watch out for that aspect of it. But it's worth it. It brings so much closeness. And there's so many things that he is willing to, go above and beyond just because he feels like he got that connection with me. And he feels like a whole different person whenever I allow that to happen and be a part of our day. Okay, that is it on that subject. All right, number 5, I practice gratitude on purpose. So I have the Start Today journal from Rachel Hollis, and I have actually done that for years upon years. But in there it says 5 things of gratitude. I don't condone Rachel Hollis at this point in time anymore. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm just telling you that I enjoy this part of this practice. There is so many times that I have been frustrated with him. If you will start putting gratitude on the things that you are mad at, if you are frustrated with motherhood, name 5 things you're grateful for with motherhood. If you are frustrated with work, name 5 reasons you're grateful for work. If you are frustrated with your husband, name 5 things you are grateful for your husband. And if you have to do 5 things that you are grateful for that man every single day for 5 days or 10 days or whatever it may be, you are going to start looking for things to be grateful for. I don't know if you've ever heard of the practice of like looking around in the room, tell me everything or look for everything brown in the room. And they turn around and they look around for all of the things that are brown, and then they say, close your eyes and tell me what you found that was red. And they don't remember much that was red because they were looking for brown. It's the same thing. If you are not looking for things to be grateful for, then you can have such an easy time to miss things to be grateful for. So make sure that you're practicing gratitude and being grateful for things, because if you're not looking for things to be grateful for, you're most likely in your own flesh going to miss them, because that is how, unfortunately, we are hardwired since the fail of Adam and Eve. We are hardwired to not be grateful. It can feel, when you're very first starting out, it can feel so much harder to be grateful than to not be grateful. But whenever you start the practice and you start switching your mind over, then you have so many things that you can be grateful for, guys. I went through an entire house fire where our house caught on fire. Our family was in it. We got out safely. We walked out the front door. God literally set up such a beautiful story, and I have so many things from a house fire. Another time I will tell you more. I have so many things to be grateful for from that would normally feel like this terrible, awful thing. That's a whole nother podcast, but my point is you can find gratitude in absolutely anything. And if you are struggling with your marriage and your life, go ahead and practice some gratitude. Write 5 things down that you are grateful for. Even if it's just the fact that he puts a roof over your head, he provides stability, he's a great father, he's committed to your relationship, whatever it may be, find the gratitude. Number 6, I learned to understand him and not judge him. I had to start thinking about things somewhat through his lens. I had to think about his triggers, his upbringing, the pressure that he is under for providing for our family, and why certain things hit him the way that they do. I ended up, again, getting curious, just the way that I got curious for myself on why do I do things the way that I do them. And I had to get curious for him as well and start replacing that criticism and that frustration with curiosity. One of the things that we really struggled with at the beginning of our marriage is him being insecure about like whether I would cheat or not. And that came from his parents, and his dad was married twice. Both of them cheated on his dad. His mom was married. There was affairs that happened within there, and he had some concerns. And instead of me getting frustrated about it, because I'm like, dude, I'm not going anywhere. This is annoying. Come on. Why are you stressing about this? I had to go to the fact of, this is why he acted that way. This is why he's stressed out about that. And I had to kind of like take those things into my understanding of, this is why certain things trigger him the way that they do, because he had a whole life of experiences before me also. And never, ever, ever will we understand everything that our husbands went through growing up. We can't possibly get it. We don't have to make excuses for them, but whenever we can get curious and start understanding, and I will tell you that there is a lot of triggers that happen within them that kind of fade away whenever they start feeling respected and they start feeling grounded in your marriage, and like the fact that you're growing. He doesn't have to feel like he has to be jealous. He doesn't have to feel like I'm going anywhere, because there's no doubt in his mind at this point in time. We've been doing this for 13 years, and I've been working on it myself for about 11 years. He doesn't have to feel all of those feelings, because he feels so respected and loved and seen in our marriage. But it has been my work that has got us there. It has only been the last 4 or 5 months where I have seen just like absolute exceptional, must be God working growth like in our marriage, which we will get to here in a minute. 7th one. I stayed consistent even when progress was slow. I prayed for years. I got the book Power of a Praying Wife, and I prayed through all of those prayers. I prayed over his work. I prayed over his relationship with God. I mean, I have prayed over healing from his childhood stuff. I have prayed and I have prayed and I have prayed about his friendships. I have prayed circles around this man. And to be honest, once upon a time, I was like, God, I have worked so freaking hard over here. I have worked and worked and worked and worked and worked to be the wife that you have asked me to be. I have spent 31 days in Proverbs 31. I have worked on myself so much, and it still feels like I've gotten such little movement. And then at one point, I was talking to my friend named Kathy, and she is so wise. And she was like, Kelsey, it is not until you let go that things can change. And I didn't quite understand that when she said it. And then all of a sudden one day, God was getting kind of like a download from him. And he was like, you have the same version of David, and you have always held on to that in your mind. You have always thought he will always be the way that he has always been. And you never let go of the old version of him in order to allow the new things that I'm trying to put in place to take over. And I hope that I did that justice, and I hope that I made that make sense to you, because it was beautiful and wonderful, and I am so grateful that God gave it to me the way that he did. I had to let the old version of my husband go. I had done years and years of work on my part and work on my stuff and praying for him over and over and over again, and feeling like I was getting very, very small steps forward. There was always little bitty changes along the way, but it felt like, goodness gracious, there should be more. And whenever I finally got that message of, you have to let the old version of him go in order for the new version of him to come about that I am working on, Kelsey, the one that you have asked me for, I did. And it was hard. And then all of a sudden, I just started seeing him grow in so many new lights. Like, We went to church the other day. It was really him that was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. Our RV where I like to record, I had mentioned that I needed it cleaned out and aired out before I could come out here and work in here. And he came out here and he cleaned out the RV and aired it out and set up a heater in here and all of the wonderful things that he does for me now. But y'all, it took time and work on my part. Before he could change, I had to change. So that is it. I wanted this episode to be so much shorter, but I needed every single part of it for you guys to hear. I needed to put all of this out here because this has been an episode that I have wanted to do for you guys for so long. It doesn't change overnight. Your marriage is not going to change overnight, but it has the potential to be so much better. And whenever I tell you that David wasn't perfect at the beginning, I was not perfect at the beginning, but whenever you will work on your stuff first, and especially whenever you know that you want to save this marriage and you want to be able to be home and be a part of your family, if you have a husband that is also willing to save your marriage. P.S. I did ask for a divorce multiple times in the first couple of years of our marriage. And David just told me no. Simply and plainly just said, no, we're not doing it. And I am grateful that I just said okay because I wanted to be home with our child. And so I didn't file. And here we are now. I have so many friends that were my friends at the beginning that are just shocked by the fact that we're still here, guys. And the fact that we're so good and such a stable, great relationship. And we talk all the time about how grateful we are that our kids are going to see a loving, good marriage, that they can see us fight and then they can see us make up and they can see us be good to one another, and so that they have a view of what a good relationship looks like and what theirs can look like, and they can make theirs even better because our ceiling can be their floor. They can make everything even better off of just what we are teaching them. So that is it. I hope that you guys have the absolute best day, morning, whenever you're listening to this. I am so grateful for you guys showing up and continuing to listen to these episodes. It has been such a blessing to be able to put them out for you. Have the best time. Bye. Hey friend, thanks for hanging with me today. If this episode made you laugh, think, or whisper, okay, Lord, I needed that, go ahead and follow the show, leave a review, or share it with another mom who needs a little holy encouragement. And hey, if you're ready for energy, focus, and calm that doesn't require a miracle, check out those peptides. Your support makes this show possible, and I'll be walking with you every step of the way. See you in the next episode.